Entrepreneur Hustle and the Curry Law Firm's Entrepreneur Spotlight for Black History Month. And we are going to bring some amazing entrepreneurs. And this, I'll be honest, is probably going to be my favorite for the month. Not only because they're in construction and I have a real love for real estate, but because I really love them because they're my cousins. So yes, we do have an amazing family. And these are Kevan and Ayesha Shelton, who are the owners of Park Street Homes. Now, Park Street Homes has been featured in a lot of things, and they are doing some really amazing things in the community, including some really interesting builds. And they've already been spotlighted by the Greater Houston Black Chamber this year. So, Kevan, Ayesha, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing a little bit about Park Street Homes.
Thank you for having us.
So, what is the premise? How did you guys come up with Park Street Homes?
So, honestly, it was a selfish endeavor. When we originally got together, we were looking for a new home for our family, and my wife gave me a couple of stipulations. She said, I don't want to live in a renovation. I don't want to live in an old house, and I really want something new. And there were no new homes in the quality of what, we would expect to move our family into in the area that we wanted to move into. And being a builder, I figured we'd build it. So along the way, we've grown into Park Street Homes, which is a production builder operating in Houston, Texas. But it really started kind of grassroots, trying to serve our own family, and ended up serving the families of Houston.
So when you had this idea, or when you gave him some specific instructions, Ayesha, what did you expect? Did you think he was going to jump off the ledge and say, okay, well, let's do this for everybody?
So, our story starts off traditionally like most of us started off as investors, right? So we did flips and we did Airbnb. We were just trying to figure out in this real estate realm what our shtick would be. But we did. The house that we lived in was small. It was a starter home, and it was like, okay, we need to find something next. And because Mr. Handyman over here was like, oh, I can do this, and we can get a foreclosure and do that, and I was like, no, I
don't want to do that.
So I think it evolved into what it is today. It certainly wasn't like, let's sit down, let's make a plan. It was like, let's get there.
Yeah, we have this need. We know we wanted to invest in real estate, and then we naturally ended up in new construction, which my career started in new construction.
Yeah.
So honestly, we probably could have started there, but we went the round robin of growing in our investments and then coming around to fix and flips, and then we got to new construction. Like, oh, this really works for us.
Good.
So we should do more of this.
Yeah. So tell me about your path to entrepreneurship. We all kind of start someplace, and lots of us are serial entrepreneurs. It sounds like you guys had a couple of businesses before Park Street Homes kind of was born. So how did you guys take that leap from one, you were working in corporate America, and then you took a leap to entrepreneurship, and then you kind of grew to Park Street Homes?
Okay, I'm good at this part.
Give it to us.
I'm good at this part. Okay, so corporate America, and we did pretty well for ourselves, right? Kevan was the primary income earner, but I brought in, some people else together too. And our partnership really was a synergistic, right? And so Kevan had the know-how; he could do some stuff with his hands, and I read all the books. Okay, so I knew you could invest with other people's money. I knew, building a real estate portfolio and like all of the knowledge part of it, I had it down. The how-to, Kevan had it. So you put the knowledge and the capability together, and you get K&A Shelton, Kevan and Ayesha Shelton. So that was our first company, was Kanda Companies, K&A Companies, right? And we put those things together. We creatively did some deals, and we did flips. Now, just like everybody that wants to be in real estate, we saw all of these opportunities. So wholesaling, flipping, Airbnb, Turo. Okay, so we put our hands in all of those things. And we learned a lot of valuable lessons along the way. We learned expensive lessons along the way, and we were like, hold on, we got to do something different, right? And we decided you could be the jack of all trades and the master of none, or we can be specialists and experts. And so we started down the new construction path. That was an accident. We were doing a renovation. It was a pretty crappy renovation. The house fell in. We had to start from scratch. And we started from scratch and built this beautiful new construction house. Hello.
We understand.
We don't have to worry about the foundation, what's behind the walls, the electrical. We just put it all in there. That's a more seamless, streamlined process. And so then we specialized. We said, listen, I build, you sell. Now we have the sales and the bills. Just go.
Yeah. No, and I tell people this all the time. I never really wanted to be an entrepreneur. When I don't know if you remember this, but way back when I was 18, I started my first construction company doing renovations post Hurricane Rita.
Okay.
I think it was Rita.
Don't date us.
uh,
We're young.
and and what I found was paying the bills and doing the work was real hard.
Mm-hmm.
So I went corporate and I started my career working for a production builder. Then I went commercial construction, which I spent the majority of my career. So I got to see it on a very small level, all the way up to huge organization with global ties all around the world. And I got to see the power of building a strong organization. So when we started our company and really refined it down and knew that we were going to go in the direction of new construction, we put an infrastructure around it and kind of formulated Park Street Homes under the production building model that I started my career with. Because for me, more than just an entrepreneurial journey, it's how do we create an organization that can not only grow the impact to other families and other staff and build generational wealth for more people, but how do we create the opportunity to build an organization that can be regional, national, or even bigger.
Yeah, I think that scalability is a part where a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck. And it may be a part that corporate America gives some inspiration. So what, I guess, lessons did you guys take away from corporate America? Because I love how you guys are all about structure.
You want to talk about your journey and what you learned from some of the people you worked under?
And sometimes it's what not to do. Sometimes the lesson is, I don't like that.
I think if everything that you experience, you recognize that it's teeing you up for something greater, right? So like even down to workplace turmoil and how to deal with disgruntled, not employees but coworkers, right? And then as a business owner, I take that into me managing other people. Like, wait a minute, I've been here before. This is something about this. I know a better way to do this. I know the way that I did it before. I know the way that I wish that I would have done it, and I can approach it better going forward, right? And so the same thing with our business. I mean, we stumbled along the way, but we kept going. One, we pivoted. Two, and we're better because of it. And I can look back at the stumbling blocks and be extremely grateful for them, because I'm like, okay, the reason why I'm where I am now is because of all that back there.
Yeah.
Which for me, it was, I think the pivotal moment, the kind of linchpin moment for me was once I started applying my corporate thought processes to my small business, and stop calling it a small business, right? So you think about it from a perspective of what you can do, and then once I changed my thinking to think about what we can do, what the future of the company can do, then it really opened the doors to see how big we can make it. And even our plans for our company going forward are eventually to turn it over to an ESOP so that we can see where the team would ultimately take it.
I think one of the key things about scaling is, when you're a small business owner, you have to do everything, and you feel like you have to do everything. And so the best book one of the best books we could have ever read was Who Not How.
Yeah.
And it really talks about like you should not be trying to do everything. You should find the who's to your how. And so it's something as simple as, man, I really need to figure out this social media thing. No, you don't.
There's somebody who knows social media.
Oh Lord, it's horrible too.
That shouldn't,
Yeah. Or why do a poor job at it? Because we all have our specialties and we're all good at something. And why don't we spend our time doing what we're actually good at instead of fumbling with what we're not good at?
So that's literally all we did. We stopped doing what we weren't so good at and really started focusing and drilling down on what we're really good at.
Okay. Well, tell me this, because part of what I hate about hearing about entrepreneurships, or when people ask me, they look at the great things, or they look at you externally and they're like, oh, that's amazing, I want to do that. They don't see the struggle, and I feel like sometimes as entrepreneurs, we don't reveal what the struggle is with enough transparency where people know you're going to have hard times, bet. So kind of, how did y'all push through when you were facing those challenges that surely come with starting something, especially starting something that you have a big vision for?
So, the biggest transition for us,
different perspective.
the biggest transition for us was leaving our jobs, right? So it's not real easy, but it's easier to run a business when you have a W-2, because that check hitting every 2 weeks is real important. And paying the bills and writing checks is very hard, like I said before. So I think for me, and just my perspective, the biggest struggle for us was in that transition. It was kind of the best, worst years of our life when we went full time. And now here we are 3 years into it, and we're starting to get our stride. But that period of time was extremely rough. And once you cut that cord to leave, I left one of the largest real estate organizations in the world to go do my own small organization.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you get more influence and equity, but you lose stability. And you have to create that stability for yourself. So, for me, I look at it like a job every day. I go to work, I report, I make sure I'm showing up on time because I do have a boss. Now, my boss might not be, Joe Blow in the office, but it's my customer, my investors, my consumers, the people who ultimately will tell me if I'm doing a good job or not by supporting and purchasing the homes that we build. My employees, the staff that we have, am I doing a good job as a leader, as a manager? My wife, am I doing a good job as a business partner? Our alignments with everybody that we work with. So for me.
Okay. What about you, Ayesha?
Okay, so if you would have told me, I would have been like, in order to get to where you are now, you got to go through this. I still haven't decided if I would have been like, yeah, that's cool on that side. I want to go through that to get to this.
Yeah.
And it's funny when we were going through our transition as business owners, and the challenges that come with that. Everybody around us, including yourself, was like, oh, yeah, like this is a part of it.
You where you're supposed to be.
Calm and collected, and everybody was so sure that
We'd be all right.
we'd be on the other side of it, right? But in the midst of it, it was like, I'm thinking, this is the worst thing. This is it for me. Like, my life is over. And so you only lose when you stop, right?
Yeah.
Like, the only way you fail is if you stop. And if Thomas Edison stopped when he failed, then we wouldn't be sitting with the ring light.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just have to keep going, and it is supposed to get hard. If it's easy, you're doing it wrong. Right? If it's too easy, if something's not right, and or the ball is gonna drop. And what did Tillman Fertitta say? Either you in some shit, you just getting out some shit, or you're about to be in some shit.
Why are you cursing?
Oh, it's okay. It's mine.
It's mine. I'm sorry. Okay, but I hope this. Okay.
Stuff.
You're in some stuff, you're about to go through some stuff, or you're just getting some stuff. And if a man on that level is having those same kind of challenges, we're not exempt from that, right? So that's just a part of what we do. But we also get to live a different kind of life because of that, right? So either you take either you take this route where you have the stability, and that's great too. Like I said, if God was like, let me show you what you gotta go through to get here, I probably would have been like, them paychecks look real good. Those vacations twice a year.
We got paid. Somebody got paid every week.
Right. Those vacations twice a year, that's all right. But as an entrepreneur, when I want to go on vacation, I just get up and go.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it takes a lot more coordination.
You have to your boss. Coordinate it. But the point that I'm trying to make is, I have to say, I have more flexibility in my life than I did before. But they both have their price. So everybody looks at entrepreneurs and goes, oh man, I want to live that life. Do you
want to pay that price?
It's a cost too. Yeah.
So I know you guys actually have your own podcast that talks about marriage, real estate, how to merge those things and how to balance those things. So I guess, can you share a little bit about your podcast and also give some insight on what it feels like to successfully work as a team in a marriage? Because that's different than having like a partner you can fire. You don't have to take those internal struggles home. So when you're like struggling fighting with your business, and then you have to go home and then try to figure out how to be copacetic on a relationship that's outside of the business.
That's a real thing. And I'd say, we started our podcast because we were talking to other couples who were looking to use real estate as a vehicle to either build wealth or just increase their income, have a legacy for their children. And that's kind of how the journey started for us. So while our business became a very traditional level business, it started off as a vehicle just for our household. So we really spend our time speaking to other couples in that position that want to leverage their jobs to invest and kind of work with their spouse to build something greater. I'll, I'll let you talk about that part in a second, and I'll just say I love working with my wife every day because um, not only is it's one of the hardest things and also one of the most rewarding things you get to do every day, because sometimes it does get frustrating, but sometimes it's incredibly rewarding, right? And the safety is she's always on the same page because she's there too, right? Versus I'm going to fight these battles every day at the office, and she doesn't necessarily know the extent of it. She knows how hard of a day I had. One example, not to give a long story, but we had an inspection on a home, and she happened to show up at the house when the inspector was there, and he ripped me to shreds.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
he was like, "Oh, you need this." I mean, I was on the verge of tears. He's like, but we had to close like that next day or a couple of days after that. So I'm like, there's no way I can get all this stuff done. And she saw me take that, I mean, whooping bad.
Yeah.
And then she saw me immediately get up and take action.
Yeah.
So it took me all night, but I did all the work so that we can close the next day.
Yeah.
And it worked. And she got to see me grow in my resiliency. And that gave a greater appreciation for the struggle that it actually takes to produce the level of homes that we do. But it also gave us a closer connection because she got to experience something with me that she otherwise wouldn't have seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think one of the things that Kevin said was, which I thought was phenomenal, was our dollars circulate in our household like 3 times.
Like 7 times.
Okay, so like we have everything that we set out and do complements what we're doing, right? So his success is my success, and my success is his success. In a traditional partnership, you both are successful, right? But when I win, you definitely win in those regards, right? Our we are aligned in where we want to go, right? And so it's not like you're getting more than me, you're doing more than me.
Nope.
It's like if Kevin making money, I make
we have a household economy.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the values, in my opinion. It's like we put our heads together and go, how can we complement each other, and even how can we create businesses that complement?
And how can we fill in the gaps? I think, thankfully, in the alignment of our partnership, the areas where I'm weak, you're strong. And the areas where I'm strong, you're weak, so that we can hold each other up. And we even did that in our jobs. There'd be many nights where I'm working on a presentation, and she's like, "Oh, you need to edit this, you need to change this." Or she's like, "Man, I got this initiative for my job I'm trying to do." I'm like, "Hold on, let me build the presentation for you." And when you celebrate,
nice website.
Yeah. When you celebrate the wins as well as cumulatively take the losses, not only does it give you a greater appreciation for when you do win, you have a greater respect for each other.
Yeah, it's like transparency. I think you could tell someone like I had a hard day at work is much different than seeing it and being like, "Oh, we're not gonna be able to come."
We had a hard day.
We
What you mean? Like, hold on, we gotta buy groceries Friday.
Oh, and and that's wrapped into being parents, and just figuring out a way that your mix works for you. And I think that has manifested itself beautifully with you guys. So I'm so happy and proud. What advice would you give entrepreneurs if they're starting off and they want to grow something big, but they're just wailing in how to get there?
I always say make a plan. The one thing that we've been doing since we dated was planning our lives, and our lives are very much a reflection of everything that we plan. So every year we sit down, we take a weekend, and we conference our life. I mean, we have a meeting minutes, agenda. We literally treat it like a business meeting, so that we can professionally take an approach in making sure that we're living the life we want to live. And it's the same thing with starting a business, right? You can't get out in the river and make it happen if you don't have a boat. So you want to plan your boat.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I also feel like I'm the kind of person that if I can pay to get the answer, I will. Right. So while I think there's nothing new under the sun. I think paying for education, paying for resources and reading books, I think that's key. If somebody can be like, "Hey, I can get you to $100,000. All you got to do is this," I'm like, "Okay, how much it costs?" If it's already laid out, And it's funny because we complement each other in that way. Kevin will take the hard route all the time, and I'm looking for the easy route all the time. So together we come together and we kind of do this hard, easy dance or whatever. But I definitely think it's important that if there's something that you want to do, somebody's already done it already. You don't have to figure out how to do it. You don't have to spend 10 years trying to figure it out when you could have spent 4 months with this program and it's got it figured out already.
I'll say one of the benefits of that philosophy helped me because it had me seek out mentors. So even though we're on LinkedIn now, one of the tools that I used in our hard times was LinkedIn. I'd reach out to people who were doing the things that I wanted to do, and I say, hey, can I take you to lunch, or can I whatever? And in those conversations, in some of the hardest times in our business, was helpful. Those are the people who were like, oh yeah, you're right where you need to be, or it's going exactly how it should be.
You need $100,000 by Tuesday. She's plus
Oh no, you'll figure it out.
Children are hungry. Oh, it feels such a great character.
Yeah.
Not that extreme, obviously, but clearly.
But it works though.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people out here doing everything that you want to do. They're here, they're on this platform. And I think a lot of people don't realize in your network is your biggest kind of strength. It's the biggest feather in your cap. So leverage your network to figure out what that right business is for you and also how to go forward.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for joining me. I want to highlight you guys individually because you have a lot going on, and Aisha is a real estate maven in her own right. So tell people how they can reach you for different things. Park Street Homes, Aisha, if you need to buy or sell a home, she is still an amazing resource. So how can the people reach you?
So I am team lead of the Ayesha Shelton team, powered by Freedom Real Estate Group. And I'm on all social media platforms. So usually at Ayesha Shelton, you can Google me. You can Google my business.
Google.
Google. Just Google.
Google.
Google Ayesha Shelton. I'll pop up and some things will happen.
You can find me at parkstreethomes.com, Park Street Homes LinkedIn, Park Street Homes Facebook, or Park Street Homes all social media platforms. Kevin Shelton, Kevan, Shelton at everything. So.
Yeah. So, last question. Tell me where Park Street Homes is going. I don't know, people out there, they're like, oh, perfect, they're amazing. Will they build my house? Do you do custom builds? Are you just building on different communities? And if so, what are they? Where can they go and get their hands on a Park Street home? There is a $1.4 million Park Street home that you can go see right now with your realtor.
That's true.
This is true.
So one of the things I'm probably most proud of is our transition into new construction and really formalizing Park Street Homes as a production builder. It's one of the few historically Black-owned production builders in the United States. So we're very proud of that. You can find us in Houston. We're headquartered, coming to other markets near you in the few coming years. But our goal is really to grow. So, we are very blessed to live in one of the largest production home building markets in the country. So very shortly, you'll see us in most of your major communities. Definitely stay tuned to our website. That'll have all the information, as well as our LinkedIn pages where we publish a lot of things. But yeah, parkstreethomes.com.
Okay. So it sounds like if you want a Park Street home, you can go take a look at some today.
Yep.
If you don't have a broker or a realtor, you can call Aisha and she can show them to you. So thank you so much for joining us as we highlight other amazing Black entrepreneurs and Black businesses for Black History Month. Make sure you stay tuned, and we will share all of their links below so you can go check out Park Street Homes yourself. Thanks, guys.